I'm just gonna turn off my notifications right quick. Do not disturb.
Are
Do
you
not
live?
disturb.
Are you live on your end?
I'll tell you.
I show that I'm live here on my end.
Oh, it looks like I just got disconnected on my. Oh, there we go. That's funny. I lost connection and now I'm connected again. So let me see. Yeah, it looks like we are live.
All right.
I
Should we
lost
wait
connection
for?
and now I'm connected again. So let me see. Turn the volume off. Yeah, yeah, we're looking good. We're looking good.
Okay, let's wait for a couple minutes or for
Yeah.
a minute or so.
Okay.
I'm live
Let's
on
let
I'm live on YouTube and Facebook.
right on. And I'll monitor chats here on. I'll monitor chats on the Sheepdog live stream. I can't see chats. Let me see if I click on chats here. It says chat comments. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see. Can you still see? You can still see me, right?
I can still see. Yes,
All right. So yeah, I'm looking at. I'm looking at comments. Are you able to see the comments?
I am. Yes.
Okay. Cool. So we can see them on your end. I can see them on the sheepdog end. So um,
So can we get ones to people that are logged in? Can we get ones for audio and video? Am I good? I can
and
hear you.
guys, let us know on. We're streaming this on multiple platforms. So if you're watching the Ismail stream, ones if we got good video and audio. If you're watching on the Sheepdog stream, all right, yeah, they're all giving ones on both.
Okay, that's good.
Hey, you guys comment. How long do you think we should wait on these live streams before we begin?
I think we've been live for a minute.
Give some suggestions on how long we should wait before we begin. Because some people are late to join, and then they come in and they're wanting to know what's going on.
Yeah. 2 to 3 minutes. I have one comment here. All right, sounds fair.
I see two to three
Reasonable.
minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, no more than five.
Too
So
bad
you
we
got this. You got the start time. Let's not exceed five.
too bad we don't have hold music.
Have what kind of ho music?
Yeah, music like
Ho
hold
ho music?
hold.
Oh, hold music, like elevator music.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd rather have ho music.
Oh, I don't know
Back
anything.
that ass up.
I don't know anything about that, man. I'm sorry.
You, you's a big fine woman. Won't you back that ass up?
My
You know
wife,
that song.
my wife's
You know that
probably
song.
my wife's probably watching, so I can't
Oh
comment.
yeah, you don't know nothing about that, do you? Okay,
Yeah.
I got you, man. Vito says there's no music like ho music. That's right. So we're gonna begin after we've been live for 5 minutes to let people uh, put down their food and their kids and stuff like that and start watching.
Okay, thanks everyone for being here. There's a lot of people. I'm not gonna be able to name everyone, but thanks everyone for being here.
Don't forget to say, oh, you're cute. Read the comment. You're so cute. Oh, thank you. Like that. like that chick does, social media influencers.
Yeah.
I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
so funny. Fred Younger says, you all are 2 hours ahead of me. So currently it's 8:20 p.m. here in Texas.
It's
Ismail down in Laredo, and I'm up in San Antonio, and we both share at the same time, 8:20 p.m. I'll tell you something interesting. I just had a conversation with a guy. I towed his vehicle. I'm doing repos as well now. I've got a tow truck. Anyway, keeps me out on the street. And you know what I do when I'm out on the street, right, Ismail? You know what I do when I'm out on the street, right?
yeah.
I watch the cops. And now they all have to worry about every tow truck that drives by. It's funny as hell.
I think
That's what.
that's funny.
That's yeah. That's what they're all saying.
Yeah, with it, please. Okay. I think it's 5 minutes already.
But this guy, I towed his car, and we write on the windshields, repo, the name of the company, whether or not it has keys. And so I had wrote it on the rear tailgate of a truck. I wrote that, and it's a wax. It's a little piece of wax
Yeah.
that has yellow in color, and you write it on there. So I wipe off the dust, and I write it on the back of this tailgate on the paint. So this guy is complaining, saying that he's going to go get an estimate on the damage to the paint. Now, you consider this is a wax. It's a wax pen. It's wax. You can literally just wipe it off with your hand.
Yeah.
One. Two, they gave me the call to field the complaint. Apparently, the guy has more complaints now. He felt I was not professional because I asked him, and I asked him in all honesty, do you file claims whenever a bird shits on your vehicle? Or better yet, if you take it to a wash place, do you file claims when they put wax on your every piece of paint on your vehicle? And then I was like, okay, I digress. I understand that, you may make you a little mad. So why don't you bring the vehicle over and let me take a look at the damage? Oh, he's not going to do that. He's just going to go get his estimate.
Yeah.
From his friend, by the way, who owns a body shop. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're going to have to sue on that one. Aaron Queen says Jack is a confidential informant.
Wow.
I don't know what that means. I don't even know if he says that on my channel. I don't even know if that's the real Aaron Queen. I wouldn't know Aaron Queen, the real Aaron Queen,
Yeah.
that I know to make a statement that I'm some type of confidential informant. That's so 2018. I think we've dispelled that rumor. Anyway,
Are you?
am I a confidential informant?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I
I
would
just
be.
I just wanted to know that.
I wouldn't have any problem being a confidential informant, but I don't know how confidential it would be, because I have stated many times that as it relates to the type of videos we put out, they're obviously, I've seen evidence of criminals who comment and also make phone calls after watching a video of mine. And I say criminals because they engage in speech that actually violates criminal law, like threatening speech.
Yeah.
And then also they place phone calls and leave voicemails making threats of actual physical violence that violate statutes, both federal statutes and state statutes, and I've always said that I don't condone that type of stuff. And who better than to help catch a criminal like that? So, and I don't care if somebody's like, "Oh, I'm gonna unsubscribe because you'll snitch on me if I commit a crime." Yeah. So, but I haven't had to because, frankly, most of the people that are making threats are probably cops.
Oh yeah.
Because, to my knowledge, and no law enforcement agency, they all bitch about all the threats they receive, but nobody's actually tried to go after the people that are making the threats because I think that they know what going down that rabbit hole would lead to. It
Yeah.
lead to their own. It would lead to their own people.
They create fake accounts and comment on YouTube and Facebook. I get them all the time.
Look, it's no secret that I don't condone criminal activity, and so
All right. Well, I guess it's we went over 5 minutes, so it's just a quick. Well, hopefully it's a quick one. Just an update regarding the latest arrest. I got arrested on June 2nd, which was
shit.
last Friday. I got arrested for uh, what was it, for not appearing in court because I had a supposed date court date on the 23rd, and
Bro, can you go over to that side and grab the thing for the laptop? Sorry, man. Go ahead.
so I got a court date supposedly on the 23rd that I didn't appear because I was never notified, and we're gonna produce that paperwork here in a bit. So I got arrested for not appearing. They sent me to jail with no bond, as per the judge's orders. So I was in Webb County Jail for eight
There's a cigarette lighter
days.
plug I need to plug in here too.
8 days.
Okay.
Everything got fixed, and we figured out what had happened, and I think that's a main reason why we are here. I now have a
It's
new
on my
court date,
channel and the
which is
it's on
gonna
my
be
channel and this knows.
on the 20th, which is this following Tuesday.
You can watch it.
So we're just here to talk a little bit about uh, what happened. So you want to say something, Jack, before we produce the documents and stuff? Okay, I think we lost Jack. I'm gonna wait for Jack to come in. In the meantime, uh, so I was telling you I got arrested for not appearing in court on the 23rd, and they held a private court. They held a okay. Let me add Jack.
I'm sorry. So I hit a button and some TikTok advertisement came up, and
Okay,
then it
okay,
closed
no
out.
problem.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I got something to say. You'd have to sign in to comment. That's the only problem.
Okay, so before Jack says something, I want to thank everyone first of all. First for being here and for calling, for donating, for calling me, email me, texting me. Thanks everyone for what happened. If it wasn't for you all, I'll probably still be in there. I want to publicly thank Jack and and CJ for helping me with everything and on the legal side. Uh, and on the personal side as well, Jack and his family, his wife Anna. Thanks for taking your time. You don't have to do everything you do, and you always go like beyond what you really supposed to do. But I consider you a friend, and I want to thank you publicly for everything you've done for me.
Well, you're welcome. And I do that stuff as a friend and as an activist, supporting another citizen who is being subject to some outlandish, egregious tyranny, uh, being caged against their will and illegally.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we have a fund set up for a legal fund, and it initially started as a legal fund to retain an attorney for Ismail and raise money for his legal defense that is needed to fight this tyranny coming out of Livingston, Polk County, Texas. And now his attorney has been retained. I think we raised a little over $5,000. Thank you to everybody that donated. That money has since been, as a matter of fact, today, it's been transferred into the attorney C.J. Grisham, transferred over into his account uh, to be used for Ismail's legal defense. And there was a question that I had: what are we going to do with any excess funds, excess amounts in excess of what's needed to defend Ismail? And for those of you that doesn't know how this works, you give an attorney an initial retainer, and in this case, it was uh, 1,500 to start working, and then 2,500 to keep working, with an expectation that the defense of Ismail would cost at least 5,000. We needed to figure out an amount to put on there, so I put 5. And then once CJ was retained and began working on Ismail's situation, getting him out of jail on this bogus warrant that we'll get into, and we'll explain why it's bogus and illegal, blanketed with even more illegal acts that resulted in the caging of Ismail. There's other people. There's three more defendants facing the same fate as Ismail in Livingston, stemming out of the same allegations, the same false allegations. And when I say false allegations, I'm literally talking about an affidavit that when you read it, and everybody should know that I am a former law enforcement officer. 13 years I spent investigating criminal activity, filing complaints, preparing affidavits, authoring them, signing and submitting them myself, which entailed investigating, gathering evidence, determining whether or not probable cause existed or not. When it did not, nothing was filed. When it did, these legal documents were filed and authored by me. So I think I'm somewhat qualified to analyze a criminal affidavit filed by a police officer or detective. So analyzing this affidavit out of Livingston, I can tell you with no degree of uncertainty that it contains zero, not some probable cause, but zero probable cause. It contains zero facts to show that any crime was committed. It's long and it's detailed, but this affidavit simply describes a handful of people engaging in legal activity,
Right.
putting on clothes, putting on outer attire, carrying a handgun legally in a holster, saying things that were legal, being from certain cities. I mean, they wrote the affidavit like it was some type of nefarious illegal activity to be in Livingston when you're actually a Mexican from Laredo. They felt it necessary to include that finding that they found through their crack investigation. They found out that Ismael, a Mexican, in fact, was from Laredo and not from Livingston. I don't see how even that was relevant in the scheme of things, but nevertheless, they felt that was indicative of some nefarious activity. They described people filming the police, following them around, filming them, things we all do every day, things that every American should be doing. We all should be following the police and watching everything they do and filming them. But they classified that as criminal activity in that they said that, well, we don't know. I quote, we don't know if y'all are calling into another team to commit a criminal act. So, I mean, it's no different than when J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, called Martin Luther King the most dangerous Negro in America. Martin Luther King wasn't doing anything illegal, but the head of the FBI, because Martin Luther King was engaging in legal activity, called him the most dangerous Negro in the United States, and something had to be done about him. Same thing about Livingston. I imagine if they had an IQ of above 20, they might be able to articulate that they feel that Ismael is the most dangerous Mexican in Texas, and something needs to be done about him. It's no different. And look at what they did to Martin Luther King. He was arrested over 30-some times, was convicted of crimes that he didn't commit, served hard time, and was ultimately killed for the things he did. And so anyway, no different here.
Yeah.
Except then it was the Ku Klux Klan, now it's the Blue Klux Klan.
Same
The
thing.
Blue Klux Klan. Same thing, same powers, same MO. But anyhow, yeah, this affidavit, it doesn't contain any probable cause. And so there's other people that are subject to this affidavit and filing of false charges. They all were arrested, charged, had to bond out on over $100,000 bonds on each one of them because they took our Texas organized crime law and twisted that. And again, it didn't qualify to even be applied
Right.
to what Livingston was accusing anyone of. But they filed the charge anyway. It's like they didn't care. In Texas, you have to have what's called elements to a crime. And let's say a particular crime, such as burglary, has elements of you have to enter property. It has to not be your own property with the intent to commit a felony or theft. So those are three elements that have to be present in order to charge somebody with burglary. If they entered a home that was their own with the intent to commit a felony or theft, then you don't have the first element. So you can't charge them. If they enter the home of another to go sleep on the couch, then you don't have the element of the intent to commit a felony or theft, because sleeping on somebody's couch, you have trespass. That's neither a felony nor is it a theft. And I think now there's also, if you intend to commit an assault in a habitation, a home, that's burglary. So if you don't have those things, you can't charge them. And every cop knows this. In order to have probable cause, you have to have all of those elements present and evidenced. Not just you think it happened, you have to have a set of facts to show it happened. That's probable cause. If you don't have either, just one of those, you don't have probable cause. And in Livingston, they had none, zero. So these charges shouldn't have been filed. So this fund has been expanded, and the extra money is going to be used in the legal defense of the other three that are also facing the same fate. And how much is it going to cost? Don't know. There's 4 people that are facing felony charges and misdemeanor charges. Now, don't quote me on that. I already know right now there's a truck driver fixing to wreck his big rig. One of the defendants, Matt. Oh, Jack, no, you got it wrong. You got it. Calm down, son. Calm down. You'll get your time to speak. But, I like, one person's facing 2 charges. The other one's facing 1 charge, so on and so forth. Anyway, but they're all facing the same legal fate out of Livingston. And they all are facing that fate based on no probable cause. That's a fact. So anyway, more money is going to be needed to help these people. This is not going to be cheap. These folks are going to be taking civil action against Livingston. That's a guarantee. That's not cheap either. So they're going to need, and I know there's a lot of people that need money, but hey, these guys need it too. So if you're so inclined to help out financially, do so. If you can't, then don't worry about it. It's been expressed before that we don't expect anybody to not buy bread to help anyone out financially in these matters. Go buy your bread. Go take care of yourself first. But if you do have any change to spare, consider donating it to either these folks or the numerous other folks facing the same fate from various law enforcement agencies throughout the nation, throughout the United States, from law enforcement that have launched an all-out war against citizens who feel that they need to be held accountable. What else do I have to say? I'll tell you my part in all this. So when I learned of Ismail being arrested, I received a phone call late in the night from his wife, and as well as a friend of mine named Mark, who runs a YouTube channel, SA210 Cop Watch, notifying me that Ismail was in jail. Kind of got an idea of what was going on. Didn't quite understand it because they said he was arrested on a warrant listing the charges, but he was already out on bond for these charges. So it was kind of confusing the first few hours until we found out that it was actually a bond violation. And then the next day we found out that it was a bond violation because he didn't show up to court. I immediately knew that something very, very wrong was happening here because we live for our day in court. I mean, I don't know how to better say it. We live for our day in court. We would much rather the police and the government follow the laws and follow the rules, because if they did, we wouldn't be arrested and we wouldn't have court dates. But they're going to be the gift that keeps on giving. And they're going to keep making these unlawful arrests. And we know this. And although we'd rather it not happen, we know it's going to happen. We know we're going to have court dates. We live for our day in court. In fact, I can speak for myself. I wish everything went to trial. Everything. It doesn't happen that way. What happens is we get whooped on, we get abused, we get financially hit with bonds and legal fees. We incur all this damage. And then they dismiss the case. It's all about the harm they can cause us between the unlawful arrest and the inevitable dismissal. That's what it's about from their end. And so, I mean, I just had a conversation yesterday in a deposition. I was being deposed, and the other side was trying to say, well, you were charged with this felony gun crime. Yes, I was. And what happened with that? What was dismissed? But you were indicted. Yeah, you were indicted by the district attorney. And my response was, oh, the district attorney indicts people? Well, we asked the questions here, Mr. Miller. Yeah, I know, but you just said something that's not true. Just addressing it. Of course, they couldn't help themselves. What they should have done was just continue to ask questions. But no, they couldn't help themselves. They want to battle wits in this deposition. And I'm your huckleberry. So they're like, well, Exhibit A. Is this not the indictment, sir? Yes, it is. And is that your signature on the bottom? Yes, it is. So you acknowledge you were indicted. I was indicted by the grand jury, not the DA. Well, the DA submitted information to the grand jury. I'm like, well, that's the first true thing you said. But you said I was indicted by the DA. I was not. I was indicted by a grand jury. It says it right there on the document. They pull the document down. And they say, well, sir, you were indicted. So you say you didn't commit a crime, but legal experts feel differently. And I said, well, the facts are, if you want to bring up the dismissal document, it was dismissed for insufficient evidence. That means a lack of evidence. So either the DA gave the grand jury all the evidence needed to show I committed a crime, and then somehow between that time and the time it was dismissed, the evidence just went poof into thin air and disappeared. Maybe somebody dropped it on the floor, but it wasn't there in the end. So they had to dismiss it because the evidence wasn't there. That's their own words, insufficient evidence. Or the DA didn't give everything to the grand jury, and the grand jury indicted a case that they shouldn't have indicted. We'll never know because you guys keep that secret, because we know what y'all do behind those closed doors. And I think during that time, they were trying to tell me to shut up, but I was having difficulty with my audio, so I didn't hear them. So I just kept talking, and then I could read their lips. Sir, you can't be talking. They were trying to say something. I'm like, oh, I fixed my audio. And they were like, hey, we talk, you answer questions. And I'm like, my bad. Sorry. I'm not a legal expert, not a deposition expert. My bad. Anyway, it was quite funny, but so I don't even know where I was going with that. I just thought I'd share that. It was funny. What was I talking about anyway? Why did I go off into that?
We were talking about Livingston, remember?
Yeah, we're talking about
complain.
That's right. But it's more tyranny, right? The more filing of affidavits, more bullshit.
Yeah, so I have the paperwork here. Let me share the screen.
Oh, what I was saying, we live for our day in court, and I want these things to go to trial because, when they do these things to you, if you go and ask the officers, well, I wasn't there, I can't comment on it, or there's a pending criminal matter, I can't comment on it, or one of 100 reasons why now they can't talk. But when it goes to trial, they have to sit on the stand, and guess what? They don't get to say that they can't talk about it. They have to talk. And not only do they have to talk, but they have to be subject to questions by you or your legal counsel. So it's great to watch them squirm on the stand. I'd love to see, and I've seen it happen one time already, because I've had one thing go to trial. These officers that lie, they squirm, because when you lie is one thing on an affidavit, when you got all your buddies backing you up, but then when you have to take the stand and get questioned, oh, it's quite different. You just can't keep up with your lies. So my point is that we live for our day in court.
Yeah.
If Ismail would have known that he had a court date, he would have showed up.
Yeah.
But as you're going to find out here in a minute, he didn't. He didn't know.
And the thing is, when we got arrested, I was Matt and myself were trying to contact the court for weeks, uh, calling, they never answered, emailing, leaving
Well,
voicemails,
well,
and
not weeks. This has been going on for over a year.
well, yeah, yeah,
You're talking weekly.
uh huh,
Y'all been contacting them
correct,
weekly, trying to asking about a court date. Okay,
correct,
just to make
and
that clear. So for
and
the past over the past year, defendants in this case have been calling weekly, asking, "When's my court date? When's my court date?" Okay.
and to this day, they still don't answer the phone number, their phone. They still don't respond to voicemails. When I need to call in once a week to my bonds company, and they ask me, "Have you heard anything from the court?" I'm like, "No." I keep trying, and they
Oh,
never answer. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. An important note here: the bail bonds company that he just mentioned that he calls into, and they ask him, "Have you heard anything?" That's the bail bond company that I use. It's the bail bond company that helps us out, and these bonds were coordinated through me. I co-signed on these bonds, so I have a vested interest in ensuring that court dates are adhered to and people are notified. So the bail bond company communicates with me too. Have you heard anything? And I'm like, nope, I haven't heard anything. I've been asking Livingston the same thing. Polk County, when's their court dates? I haven't heard anything. And the bail bond company, the one that you'll find out that Livingston, they notified the wrong bail bond company. I guess they're going to try to say they didn't know who the bail bond company was. Well, that bail bond company has been contacting them over the past year and a half, asking for a court date. They have their contact information. I digress. Go ahead,
They,
Ismail.
they have everything. They have my phone number. They have my at multiple addresses because I have multiple addresses in Laredo and Rio Bravo. Uh, Emails. They have all sorts of contact information, not only from myself but from people near me, family
And
members.
and you're gonna see that Polk County, out of all the people that they notified, which was only one, the wrong bail bond company, they sent two emails. One of them was invalid. But out of all the people that get notified of a court date, the only person that they are required by law, remember I said if they followed the law, these illegal arrests wouldn't happen. The only person that they were required to notify by law was the defendant by certified mail. And they didn't do that. They didn't send him certified mail. They didn't send him an email. They didn't call him on one of the several phone numbers that they had. They didn't try to notify. They didn't notify him. They didn't follow the law, and it resulted in him being caged. It resulted in his youngest son. This is sad. When I went down there to conduct a legal visit as a paralegal, working for the law offices of C.J. Grisham, to visit Ismail and take care of some legal business on behalf of the attorney, at the attorney's direction and supervision, sign some documents, get some questions asked and answered. I went and visited Ismail's family, kind of do a welfare check. And when I drove up, his youngest son runs up to my truck thinking his daddy was in the truck. And then when he discovered his daddy was not in the truck, he began to cry. All because Polk County officials did not. I'm going to hold off my cussing because this ain't my stream. I start getting mad about Polk County officials did not follow the law. They didn't care to follow the law. And you're going to find out here shortly as we begin to discuss, they didn't care to fix the issue either. In fact, they delayed his release by another day, maliciously. They wanted their pound of flesh from him They know they can't get it in a conviction. So they're going to get their pound of flesh this way. Anyway, go ahead, Ismail.
Yeah, and to continue what you're saying, that this this would be the only chance they could get of getting some part of me, or getting me or punishing me in some way, because they know they don't have a conviction. Um, so when they cannot
The
hope for
other,
it, when they
so
cannot hope
the
for a
other,
valid conviction, that's a definition of malicious prosecution.
so the other defendants, Melanie and Brandon, I think Brandon White, I think they were in jail for a few weeks. So in essence, Polk County knows they got 14 to 21 days of jail out of their hides.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I've been to Livingston and Polk County a handful of times since it has happened. Incognito. No videos on YouTube, no nothing. And I can go ahead and break this now because they know how intricately I'm involved. They know my face, and they're waiting for my face to be in that city. But back when I was going down there, Ismail, did you know I was going to Livingston and Polk?
I didn't.
Nobody knew. Not even my wife. I didn't tell anybody. I've gone down there a handful of times in disguise with the intent of hanging around and infiltrating these hillbillies. These inbred hillbillies is the nicest way I can describe them after spending some time with them, after breaking bread with them at the local diners. I'm not going to tell you how I disguise myself, but let me tell you, the cops were very friendly to me. So anyway, they were highly bothered by the fact that Ismail and Matt, the two defendants, well, they had only spent a few, in their words, just a few hours in jail, because instead of getting locked up for weeks in Polk County, we were able to coordinate their surrender and bond here in Comal County. And how long did that process take, Ismail? In and out?
It took what I want to say 3 hours, maybe at the most.
3 hours. I thought it was anywhere like 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah, so
Record time.
that was quick. And
And so Polk County, by their own conversations, and these conversations will come out eventually in depositions, because not only did I capture them talking about it, but I made sure that I was able to identify everybody that was talking. Officials, police officers, sheriff's deputies, they were upset, and for the life of them couldn't figure out how they only possibly spent a few hours in jail on $100 and something thousand bonds. And what I saw when I heard them talking was those bonds, those high bonds, were created to make it extremely difficult for them to get out of jail, much like the other two defendants, the difficulty they found getting into jail, which resulted in them being in jail for several weeks. And they are butthurt about that. They even were talking about me while I'm sitting there. They don't know it's me. I'm very good at that stuff. Talking about how I probably was committing some type of bribery or some type of criminal acts that resulted in them being in jail for only a few hours. I'm sure they got investigations on me as well, and they'll find out I don't break the law. I use the law. And in this case, I used the law to ensure that they surrendered and bonded out legally, and that they spent the least amount of time in jail. Something I couldn't do for the two that were in Polk County, because once you're locked up in Polk County, you're fucked. So anyway, that's just a little tidbit that now will come out just to help you understand the amount of tyranny and illegal activity coming out of Livingston. Go ahead, Ismail.
Right. So I have on the screen the uh, the certificate of service. Every time the court or an attorney files something to the court, they need a certificate of service. So this would be an automated because they sent it out through the email system.
Are you able to blow that up bigger so people can actually see
Yeah,
actual
let
wording?
me let me blow it out
I'm
here.
not sure if people can actually see the wording, and they may not be able to blow it up themselves. So if you could blow up
Okay.
the portions that you're talking about, the important portions, especially
Okay.
like the error on the email, things like that.
Okay. So as you can read here, this is an automated certificate of service. So it says here, notice of hearing status of 4/26/2023 8:32. This was the date they received back. They sent out the order on the 25th, which was a Sunday, and that's weird. I don't think they work on a Sunday. They probably went
Are,
in just.
are you
Uh,
able to zoom in on that information?
yeah, I think I have it zoomed in. So can you see that?
Can put some ones, guys. Put some ones in the comments
Is that
if you
better?
can. That is better. I can read it on my end, so I
Okay.
imagine folks
Okay.
can
Got
read
it.
it on their end. Yeah.
Right. So this is the first attempt they had is the one at the very bottom. It says A action bail, New
Oh,
Braunfels.
and by the way, these documents were retrieved by a someone who actually physically went down to Livingston while Ismail was in jail. While I was working up here to help get his release, uh, somebody went down to Livingston and retrieved these documents.
Yes.
Another a paralegal,
Uh,
part of the legal expenses. Yeah.
yeah. I
Okay.
want to get a little bit into that.
All right.
This is a very close friend of mine that he wasn't even in Texas. He drove over 400 miles to Livingston to get information, to get answers, and
Immediately.
immediately he was noticed the night prior, and he was there in the morning, and he got all the information we needed. Um, and I think this is the most important information. Whatever he got is the most important information we could get. So if we can see here, at the very bottom is the first email they attempted to send to A Action Bail New Braunfels. At the very right corner, it says error status. It says error, so that means it's probably a wrong email, or it didn't send because the email doesn't exist, or something. Um, so the other email would be A Action Bail Bonds, and that's when they sent it out, which was on the 25th. And yeah, on April the 25th, they sent out the this email. So
Which by the way, that email that reflects sent is not the email
it's
to the
not
a
correct. Correct.
to the A Action bail bond that
Correct.
bonded Ismail out. There's been some confusion about this.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so there is many bail bonds in every county in Texas, and there's a bail bond list that's posted inside the jail for people that are in jail to look at, and it's in alphabetical order in most places. And some places they rotate it and they put the Z's at the top and so on and so forth. But most places don't rotate it. So the way, and of course, when somebody's in jail, what do? You read from top to bottom. So everybody wants to be at the top. So you have all these companies that call themselves A Action, A Amigo, Triple A bail bonds, so on and so forth. The point is I'm willing to bet that you can find an A Action bail bond in about every county in Texas. I know for a fact you can find an A action bail bond in New Braunfels, Comal County, and you can find an A action in San Antonio. Not the same company, not the same email, not the same customer. Ismail was not a customer of the bail bond company in New Braunfels that Livingston tried to notify. And
Right.
remember, the only person they were required to notify by law was Ismail. Thank you.
Yeah, and not only that, the point. I mean, that is a valid point, but like you said, let's say if they emailed the right bail bonds company, they have no obligation of letting me know I have court. The court directly has to send me certified mail return receipt, so I need to sign the certified mail. That way, they have proof that I received it.
And
Uh,
the reason for that is because in order to file a criminal charge or take action to jail you for not showing up to court, they have to have evidence that you violated that court order. But see, Polk County's MO is they don't need evidence. They just do what they want. And here's another situation where they just did what they want. The law said you have to notify Ismail Rincon, and they said, screw that. We're going to not notify him. We're going to do what we want to do.
yeah.
And because they didn't follow the law, he wasn't notified and he didn't show up to court. I'm willing to bet, and I'm only speculating here. I don't know for sure, but I'm willing to bet there's a little old clerk that was responsible for actually sending out the certified letter. And I'm willing to bet that at some point, because she's going to be thrown under the bus, or he is going to be thrown under the bus. Oh, they made a mistake. But they're going to testify to the truth to clear their name. And they're most likely going to testify that they brought up the requirement to notify the defendant, and they were ordered by supervisory staff to not send a certified mail, to only send messages to these two emails.
I'm sure. Yeah,
Speculation only.
maybe. Yeah. Uh, so this is the other document I want to show.
Their intent was for Ismail to not show up to get him jailed. And why Ismail? Why didn't they do it to Matt? Somebody asked me that. Why didn't they do it to Matt too? Well, because after this whole situation in Livingston, think about this. Matt pretty much dropped off the radar. He's out doing his trucking, and he pretty much dropped off the radar. He picks a camera up every now and then. But Ismail has become a formidable force in the accountability of police officers. He hasn't stopped. He hasn't slowed down. So they need him in jail. They need to show him a lesson. In their minds, Matt learned his lesson. He ain't coming down to Livingston no more. He ain't out there running around holding cops accountable. But good old Ismail, that Mexican from Laredo, oh, no, no, no. He just got bigger and better. So they need to take a piece out of his hide. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other document would be the notice of hearing, and this says the above style case is scheduled for arraignment on Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 at 9 a.m. In the District Courtroom of Polk County Judicial Center, located in 101 West Mill Street, Livingston, Texas. Note says all bondsmen, sureties, and attorneys must have their principals present in the courtroom at this time. Bonds will be forfeited on all persons not present, and warrants issued for failure to appear. So this was the supposed notice that they emailed out to this random bail company. So now This is the it says bailiff certificate failure to appear. State of Texas versus Ismael Rincon. On this, the 23rd day of May, 2023, pursuant to the order of District uh, Court of Polk County, Texas, I did at the courthouse door proceed to call distinctly the name of the above defendant, Ismael Rincon. In the above entitled and numbered cause and reasonable time was given after said call for defendant to appear. Yet said defendant came not, but wholly made default. Signed this the 23rd day of May, 2023, and then the bailiff signed here. So John Spillman is his signature for the bailiff. Um, and then at the bottom is the judge signature, and then the stamp here. It says no bond until uh, I can't read that,
It
but
says
the
no bond until you or no bond until defendant appears in court.
yeah, and yeah. So basically, they held a court, the arraignment for me, which I'm almost sure, and we'll get the transcript for that. We'll get the transcripts and audio, video if possible. Uh,
Hold that document there for a second, please. I want to tell you, as somebody who is qualified to analyze these particular legal documents, having prepared them myself over many years, I can read between the lines here, and I can see things that you may not be able to see. So, and what I see here is the judge could have set another bond. I mean, the original what was it, $115,000 in bonds you were out on Ismail? Am I saying that
uh,
accurately?
100 and 1,000 because I only have one charge.
Okay, so that $100,000 bond because he quote didn't show up to court. Well, that's forfeited. That's $100,000 bond that Polk County is going to make. So why not set another bond for him? Some people might say, well, he showed that he didn't show up to the first one. Why would he show up another one? Well, the judge clearly indicates, doesn't say no bond. He says no bond until he appears in my court. So the judge is indicating there he's willing to set another bond, right? But there will be no bond until, let me interpret what the judge is saying here. No bond until that boy is brought back to Polk County. Then I'll set a bond, and he's going to spend 2, 3, 4 weeks trying to get out of jail because that's what they want. Because they know if they would have set a bond, he would have been bonded out within hours from Laredo. They could have set a $1 million bond, and he would have been bonded out. No problem. And they know that. So that's what I read when I see that. Oh, I'll set a bond, but not till he gets in our custody. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So you have a very good bonds person in San Antonio. I have a very good friend of mine in Laredo that he's willing to get me out uh, without charging me. He's like, "Oh, just call me and I'll pick you up as soon as I can," and that happens every time. Doesn't matter the amount. Doesn't matter.
And disclaimer here. Our bail bonds companies are legit bail bond companies.
Mhm.
When they file bonds, they file them legally.
Right.
They're not doing anything illegal, except that they have the money to put up for people to get out of jail. They have a lot of money reserved for that. Their only concern is that their clients show up to jail. Show up to courts.
To court. And
They
and
don't
that
care. They don't care what you're charged with. They don't care what you look like. They don't even have to like you. if they believe that you are a low risk of absconding, or in layman terms, if you're a low risk of not showing up to court, they will do your bond. Now, they know that we are a negative risk. We are no risk at all because we live for our day in court and we're going to show up. And we still pay them money. I think, if I'm saying it right, I think Ismail and Matt each had to pay $8,000 a piece to bond out on these charges from Livingston. So we still have to pay, but we don't have to pay as much as other folks sometimes, and we don't have to go through such rigmarole and qualifications that other folks whom they don't
Right.
know of have to go through. So we enjoy those kind of benefits, and they're all legal. All legal. I
Right.
just wanted to let you know. Our bond companies bond us out legally.
Right. So so as far as the update, now I have court on the. Let's open up this file. Give me a second.
Oh, and I wanted to mention, so there's some folks that are asking for how do we donate. So I need, on my YouTube channel, I have some moderators in there. There is that Give Sing Go campaign that was created for Ismail. Can somebody please copy that link and post it in my TX Sheepdog 72 YouTube channel so people can donate if they want? And then also, Ismail, you'll need to do that as well in your stream.
Okay.
I haven't been looking at your comments, but I've been looking at mine, and I imagine if people are asking there, they're probably asking on yours. Apparently, there are a few people that do want to donate. So can you post that go Give Sing Go? And again, all of this money goes to CJ Grisham, the attorney that's been hired. From what I understand, well, he has been hired to represent Ismail and is currently doing that. I understand there is a intent for some of the others to hire CJ, if not all. So money is going to be needed for everyone. So if you send there, it goes right to CJ. The way it works is it goes to Go Give Sing Go. I'm the administrator. I'm CJ's paralegal for his law office. Uh, One of the many tasks that I have is to administer the funds here. So you give to Give Sing Go, then I request a withdrawal, and they take out, I think, I don't know what it is, whatever percentage they take out, it's small. And then I get the funds deposited into a checking account that I set up for this purpose only. There's no other funds going in or out of this account. And then once I get those funds in that account, then I send them to CJ. I send them in the form of a check. So that's what happens with your funds. As always, any funds that I'm ever in charge of, like in this situation, anybody that has donated, if you request, if you send me an email, and if somebody could post my email up, Ismail, you can do that, as well as moderators on my channel. If you could post my email up, if you choose to contact me and ask for an audit of the funds, I will share that information with you so you can see exactly where the funds, what funds came in and where they went. You don't get to see information about who's donated, but you can at least see the amounts. You'll be able to add them up yourself and see the amounts that CJ receives from me, and then so there's full transparency on these funds. There won't be any games played with not 1 cent. All right, Ismail, thank you.
All right. So the update for this would be. Let me open this file right here. Now I have. They said they recalled the that order they had sent for the failure to appear, and now I have a new court date, which is set on the 20th, which is this next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Um, so they released me because the judge ordered the previous order to be recalled, and so that's the latest update. court on the Tuesday the 20th, and we'll be there with my attorney CJ Grisham, who's representing me. He'll be there, um, as well as Jack, which is his paralegal. We'll be there, and other people will be there present, and maybe invite people that want to go that are nearby just to show support. We're not doing any protest. We're not doing anything. Just if y'all want to show support, y'all are welcome to go to Livingston as well.
I would like to expound on how we came about getting you released from jail. So again, I mentioned that I'm a paralegal for the attorney that's representing Ismail in this matter. And I went down there and conducted a legal visit with Ismail, took care of some things that the attorney asked me to take care of, asked some questions, gathered some information, delivered that to the attorney, had some documents signed, checked on his well-being. And so then CJ was retained and immediately began to work on getting or addressing the legal issues regarding Ismail's caging, if you will. So CJ filed CJ began to communicate with the Polk County officials and filed some paperwork, some court documents, and that resulted in Ismail's warrant that was being used to hold him in Webb County. It resulted in that being withdrawn, and then Ismail was ordered released. Now, there are some caveats in that situation, some side notes. One of those is that Ismail was ordered to be released. What day did you get out, Ismail? What day was it? Was it Friday, Thursday, Saturday? What was it? You remember?
I don't.
Well, okay. So 3:30 on whatever day it was, Thursday, whatever it was.
Thursday. Yeah, it was Thursday. I'm sorry.
Thursday is when you were released from jail.
Yes.
So on Wednesday at about 3:30, an order was signed by a court in Polk County ordering that the warrant was recalled and ordering Ismail's release. That was hand delivered to the section that is responsible for putting that into record and having a message sent to Webb County through an encrypted law enforcement only messaging system referred to as TLETS. TLETS. This system is used for like whenever they pull you over on the side of the road and they arrest you on a warrant, a message is sent from the warrant agency to the agency that has you in custody, confirming that warrant is actually active. They actually go and pull the physical warrant that's in the records division at that department and certify through TLETS that warrant is active. It's a very important step because they need to ensure that this warrant wasn't recalled earlier that day, right? And if they didn't do that and follow the law on that, they would, that would result in somebody who shouldn't be in jail being in jail. So the division that is responsible for notifying Webb County received that information at about 4:20 that afternoon. Instead of recording it, which is very simple to do, takes minutes, and forwarding that information to the people responsible for sending a TLETS message to Webb County, don't know what they did between the time they received it and 5 o'clock, but at 5 o'clock they went home, and they had not delivered that court order to the people who are responsible for sending that message. We were expecting that to happen fluidly. Within hours, we found out by checking that that had not been done. We tried everything we could to get him released that night, but because it requires that TLET's message, and Polk County, apparently they turn into pumpkins at 5 o'clock, they were unable or unwilling to take any action, even though they knew there was a court order ordering his release. They refused to take any action to cause him to be released, and we had to wait until the next day to force Polk County to send that TLET's message. And they did the next day. They had no choice. So they got one more day out of Ismail.
Yeah.
So I wanted to throw that little caveat in there. All right.
Okay. So I don't know if Brandon or Matt are they watching. Let me post a link if y'all wanna.
Brandon and Matt are two of the other defendants facing the same fate out of Livingston and Polk County. Ismail is going to send them a link to join the live stream, and you can hear what they have to say about this whole thing in their own words. So hopefully they'll be able to join us, and I will, for one time in my life, shut my damn mouth while they talk. I promise.
All right.
Anybody want to take bets?
So I just posted the link on the chat. So if anyone is watching, can you let them know? Let the Brandon or Matt. I don't have my phone with me, so can anyone text Brandon and Matt? Or anyone that has questions, if y'all want to join the stream, you are welcome to. I'll post
I
the
think
link.
that'd be great. Yeah, we want to get James Freeman, by the way. I want to mention James Freeman. There were a handful of folks that were instrumental in assisting Ismail in this matter. And notably, James Freeman and Direct D, they did a live stream about the situation and also assisted in raising funds. In fact, I think they were the most instrumental in raising funds for this legal defense. So a shout out to them and their efforts for taking the time that they took. And it's no easy task. Taking the time that they took to address this matter. That's James Freeman and Direct D.
So many people reached out to me. I don't want to even start mentioning names because I'm gonna forget someone, and I don't want to get anyone mad. So
Well, I
everyone,
don't give a shit. Y'all know I don't give a shit about making people mad, so I'll do it.
I know,
Uh,
I know you don't.
Todd Ferguson, SA210 Cop Watch, SA210 Cop Watch, Mark Rios, SAXC Prez, Desert Goat, Pink Camera Magic, Philip Turner, the Batalsai, Daniel Chulos, which is Truth Be Told Audits. Of course, Ismail's wife. His children deserve credit. I cry when I talk about his children because, you know, even the most vile of crime bosses know that women and children are off limits. But it seems that people like Joe Savaggio, officials in, certain officials in Livingston, Renee Valenciano, Fort Worth officials, Galveston officials, it seems that they don't know that women and children are off limits. His children deserve a lot of credit. I was there in person, and they were supporting each other tremendously.
To his oldest son.
His oldest son. Can I mention his name? Ismail. Can I say his
Yes,
name?
yes.
Why don't you say his name?
My oldest one, Aiden,
Aiden. Aiden is how old?
he's 13 years old.
Boy held it down.
Yeah, what I saw was this 13-year-old holding it down. He held it down.
Out of
His wife and children were in a very bad spot for many days. And Aiden stepped up to the plate. A 13-year-old stepped up to the plate. He was the man of the house. And he did an excellent job. Ismail's wife doesn't speak a whole lot of English in that when I'm communicating with her and she's communicating with me, there's somewhat of a language barrier. And Aiden, it didn't matter if it was a conversation we had at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the morning when he was asleep. Unfortunately, on a school night, he got up and he translated very important information that his wife needed to tell me and I needed to tell her. So he especially stepped up to the plate as the man of the house at 13 years old. And I think that's a direct reflection of how he has been raised
yes.
by Ismail and his wife. So kudos to Rincon's family, wife and kids for being there for each other, and especially Aiden for stepping up to the plate.
Yeah.
Forgive
Thank you,
me
Jack.
when I talk about children that are affected by this tyranny because it gets me a little emotional because I know they're off limits. I wish these tyrants would know that they're off limits. You want to hurt us? Take your best shot. Leave our women and children alone. Don't try to harm them. Don't try to harm us by harming them indirectly. We know what you're doing. We got your number. We know your game. And I can tell you this too, from my observation, knowing Ismail for quite some time now, knowing his family personally for quite some time now, although you, and this is a message to these tyrants out there committing these illegal acts, although you hurt him and his family, no doubt about that. His family is extremely resilient, and they are going to be better after all this is said and done. They're going to be better. They're going to be stronger. They're going to be better. But leave the women and children out of it. It's disgusting. Thank you.
Um,
Hey, Jack.
I wanted
All
to
right,
touch
I'm gonna.
on.
I
I
promised
wanted.
everybody I was gonna shut the fuck up, so I'm gonna mute my stuff.
I wanted to touch on.
Y'all got the floor.
I want to touch a little bit in what you were saying
All right.
about family. Uh, I did I did cry. I did cry. I'm a man, but I did cry when I was in jail. Not because I was there. Uh, honestly, not because I'm there because of my family. When I got into this, I knew what I was getting into, so I knew somewhat of the consequences I may probably have, and I've been arrested 7 times now. If I count this one, 7 times since I started doing this. I've never been arrested before until I started recording cops. Uh, so I've been arrested 7 times, and I mean, I know what I got into, and I don't get sad when I get arrested. Uh, I get sad when my family gets affected. So, so again, thank you, everyone, and that's. I think Matt's here already. Let me. You there, Matt? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So
Can you
I
hear
think
me?
yeah, we can hear you. Can everyone hear Matt?
Okay. I just
Is-
say I cried too because I wanted to be there to cuddle Ismail while he was sitting there in jail and I couldn't.
All right, man. Thank you for crying for me. So, you wanna touch on some stuff we probably missed if you were here since we started?
Jack's all saying I'm not out there recording cops. I am too. I'm just not getting arrested like Ismail and I'm not getting my door kicked in.
Because you're in your truck, you're not in your house. It's is Brandon
It's
here?
gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun handling all this. Like I said, I'll just say that this has turned into a one hell of a shit show, and it's probably still gonna get worse somehow. We'll find out. We'll find somehow to make this thing worse. Probably through
Yeah.
discovery.
Yeah. So
Hey, listen.
we were saying that you haven't been able to get a hold of the court in Polk County. Have you got a hold of Polk
Oh no.
County? Like, okay,
Before we put out Freeman's video or D's video, I tried calling the courthouse, and the felony side of the courthouse never answers the phone. I left them a voicemail saying who I was, I needed to be contacted, and check to see if I got a court date. They never got back to me. The misdemeanor side does answer the phone, but they'll give you the caveat when you call saying we're the misdemeanor side. So the felony side might be doing some kind of secret juju that we don't know about, and so we don't know about your court date. So we can't guarantee you don't have a court date on that side. Also found out I still have the misdemeanor swatting myself charge for open carrying. And I asked them the second time I called, why aren't you guys even mentioning the misdemeanor charge? And she was like, it's inactive. I'm like, so like it's been dismissed, it's been set aside. She's like, no, you just haven't been arrested on it yet. I'm like, yeah, we bonded out at the same time as the felony. She's like, oh yeah, I see the bond on the felony, but we don't have anything on.
okay. I think we lost Matt here. Let me add him again. You there, Matt?
There we go.
You there?
The signal dropped, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay, we lost you for a bit. So you were
Um,
saying?
okay, so she says, yeah, we've got the bond for the felony, but there's nothing here for the misdemeanor. And I'm like, we did it with the same company the same day at the same time. She's like, well, I don't know about that, but you better go check and see if you got any warrants. Here's the warrant division. Here's the police phone number. So I call the county warrant division. They're like, no, of course you don't have a warrant. And you're on bond. And I call the Livingston police, and they're like, no, you bonded out on that a year ago. You don't have a warrant. So somehow the courthouse is just so fucked up that nobody told them, or they forgot to write down that I had bonded out on the misdemeanor too. So that's why I never had a court date on the misdemeanor, because it's been in inactive status for the last year and a half, waiting for me to be arrested. That's the shit
So,
show we're dealing with.
so they probably wanted to put a KPS for the misdemeanor on you, maybe.
They probably want, well, I say in the system, they were just waiting for me to get arrested. So that's why they never, if they had not screwed it up, I probably would have had a court date on the misdemeanor a year ago, because it's a smaller case held by a different prosecutor. That's why I never got anything on the misdemeanor. Melanie and Brandon have had like 5 court dates on the misdemeanor. Melanie's has been dismissed. Brandon's is up in a week, and it's only been delayed because they were dealing with the felony first.
Right. All right. So I guess if anyone has any questions, want to post your questions in the chat. You all want to come in the chat, have any questions during the stream?
What was your favorite meal in jail?
My favorite meal? I would say sandwich.
The bologna sandwich.
Yeah.
I kind of liked the spaghetti back when we were over in New Braunfels. It's okay.
The brown.
The
Yeah.
chocolate chip cookie was good.
Yeah. It was decent. It wasn't bad. I mean, I just ate because I had to because of my diabetes, not because I wanted to eat. But it was all right. It was not horrible. So I guess so that's gonna be it. There's we've been here like I want to say 2 hours. So court my court date is gonna be on the 20th, which is next Tuesday. I'm gonna be traveling there uh, for the court date. Anyone nearby wants to uh, be present, you all can be. We're not doing any activism. We're just going over there to to take care of business. Again, I want to thank TX Sheepdog Jack for the support and for you're now the assistant. What's the word? You're CJ's assistant.
Paralegal.
Paralegal. That's the word. I'm sorry. Um, so just thanks everyone again for the support and everything.
Yeah.
W-
So be on standby. We'll be filing motions, but I don't think we're done with Livingston yet because, like, as far as Brandon's case goes, the prosecutor in charge of his felony, after it got quashed by a judge and pretty much a one-sentence motion saying you done messed up, the prosecutor swore that she would see Brandon re-indicted by a grand jury all over again. So more to come, probably.
I myself can't comment on those things that Matt just commented on. And then just to let you guys know, now I'm receiving some emails about this whole paralegal stuff. Just to let you guys know, so the way this works is in Texas, you're not required to have a certification or a license or anything like that to be a paralegal. The Texas Bar Club strongly encourages attorneys to hire only those most qualified people to be paralegals for them. They encourage that these folks have formal education, bachelor's degrees, um, training and certifications as paralegals, but they can also have an equivalent work experience of 4 years or more in work such as interviewing witnesses, gathering information, investigations, analyzing legal documents like criminal complaints, arrest affidavits, police reports, and those things I do have many years experience in, over 4 years, so I qualify on those. Also, the only thing that a paralegal can do is those tasks that are under the direct supervision of an attorney and requested by the attorney. So there's no freelance paralegaling, right? Your title is paralegal. the attorney that is supervising you gives you specific tasks to do, and you don't do things outside of those tasks. There's three things that a paralegal or myself cannot do under any circumstance. I cannot practice law. I cannot give legal advice, and I cannot sign pleadings as my own or sign them. Aside from that, I can interview clients at the direction of the attorney. I can make copies. I can get coffee for the attorney. As long as when I go get the coffee, it's under the direct supervision and order of the attorney. I haven't had to get any coffee yet, but of course I would, as a paralegal, do that if I was ordered to do so by the attorney. That's basically it in a nutshell. So just
I'll just say
solve
that
any rumors or bullshit about GED Jack being a paralegal, suck it.
now, I'll just say Jack is a perfect fit for the legal sector because he is a bullshit artist.
Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you. You know, I was once kicked out of a council meeting for using the word bullshit, so it's fitting.
Who's the bullshit artist?
Yeah. Ismail, did you tell everybody why you cried in jail during our visit?
I didn't, but I kind of touched into it. I mean, when you're thinking about family, and
Can I tell
and
them?
yeah, you can.
So while I was there visiting Ismail, I knew he had not seen his wife and children for days now, and I figured that must have felt like a lifetime to him. I know how close he is with his family. I know how much he loves them and cares for them. And I imagine every minute that went by felt like a year that he hasn't seen or heard from his family. His family was prohibited from visiting with him. They have a policy there. For the first 5 days, he cannot have any personal visits. Personal visits would be family, friends. He can only have legal visits, such as the one that I conducted with him. I knew he had not seen his family in days. So I showed him a picture of his family. Ismail is one strong dude. I've seen him endure some horrible stuff at the hands of law enforcement, tight cuffs, illegal arrests, all kinds of civil rights violations, all kinds of violations. I've seen how hard he works. It doesn't matter if it's 30 below 30 below Fahrenheit or it's 30 above 100. He gets out there and he works his tail off. He's a tough dude. But I showed him a picture of his family so he could at least see a visual image of them. And he turned into a pile of wet noodles. And he broke down and he cried for quite some time. So I just wanted to share that. That's why he cried. I can only imagine what was going through his head, but it was important that he see his family. If you have family, you understand that. So anyway, thank you, Livingston. Thank you, Polk County. Appreciate that.
Well, thanks for that, Jack. Um, Matt, you wanna share anything before we end the live stream? You wanna add anything you
Yeah,
forgot?
be aware if you do show up that the judge has ordered no cell phones in the entire courthouse because he doesn't like transparency. He did that after the first bond reduction hearing way back a year ago for Brandon. to get that bond from $105,000 down to $7. So
Good to
be
know.
prepared for fuckery.
All right. Jack, you want to add anything before we end the live stream?
No, just to thank you for everyone who's donated. Just remember that this situation is not over. It's far from being over. It's going to take additional funds to address the legal issues here. And remember, there are tons of other folks throughout the United States and beyond that are facing the same type of tyranny, same type of legal battles that are not cheap. So if you're in a position where you can donate financially to help them out in these situations, if you're in that position, please consider doing so to whatever cause you feel obliged to do so. We're asking for you to do that here. Some links have been provided in the chats and whatnot where you can send those financial donations to. Those avenues of donating are going to continue to remain open until the conclusion of this legal matter. And then, as far as excess funds, it'll probably be donated to some other, legal issue or charity or something like that. Nothing will go into the personal pockets of anyone for personal reasons. So I want to put that out there. And thank you guys for your continued support.
Bond fund.
Viewing and sharing these videos and sharing these trials and tribulations are just as important, if not more important, than a financial donation. So for all of you guys and folks and girls that can't and that are not in a position to donate financially, please keep watching. Please keep engaging. Please keep talking about this stuff. Don't let it die down. It's extremely important, and thank you as well.
Just wanted to
I
add
can
something.
agree with that. Oh, go ahead, Ismail.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say I just had word from Freeman today that the video we put out yesterday about Four Corners News getting messed with over in New Mexico. Dude was about ready to quit being an auditor. He thought he was all alone in the world. Nobody gave a shit about him. That it was nothing mattered. They were just the government can do whatever they want, and nothing's ever going to happen to them. After getting probably a couple 100,000 views on his video, because of everybody sharing it out, he's got a bit more motivation and willingness to go do what's right. Now he's also got lawyers that are willing to go take that case straight up to the Supreme Court if they need to. So letting people know that you actually give a shit, it helps.
Oh yeah.
Especially with a smaller channel.
And on that note, you can see there how if you're not able to donate financially, how being engaged helps keep people who are willing to get out there and risk their lives. Not everybody can get out there and risk their lives and liberty to hold police accountable. But for those of us that are able to do that, man, it's hard. It's hard, and it subjects us to a lot of punishment and injury. And your views and your engagement are extremely important to all of us. It can be disheartening at times. There have been times where I'm not a quitter, but I've gotten to some pretty good lows doing this. Ismail and Matt can attest to that. They've seen me at times where I was pretty low, where I was taking a beating, and they thought I was about to quit. No, I'm not a quitter. It's never going to happen. But that being said, there are some folks that it really affects in ways that they have quit. They have quit. And we have this person here who's about to quit. And through your engagement, only through your engagement and support, this person's motivated to continue doing what I believe every person in America should be doing. And that is watching the police and pointing their cameras at them and letting them know that we're watching and we're going to say something about it. Finding attorneys, talking about the attorneys Matt mentioned, finding attorneys through my experience has been one of the most challenging things that I have faced. Finding attorneys that, not that care, because they care, they're human beings, they care, but finding an attorney that cares enough to get involved. an extremely difficult task. I've been able to land 3 attorneys that are willing to give me the time of day to listen to potential cases, and that I've reached out to probably 500 or more attorneys. I put a lot of time and effort into doing that. I send them packets constantly and reminders of these cases that I come across, the potential cases anyway. Civil rights violations where people are claiming their civil rights have been violated, or I see a video where I can clearly see that their civil rights were violated. I've been able to develop 3 out of 500 or more. So you can imagine how difficult that is, right? It's a small amount, right? A small portion of the ones that have actually been made aware of these things. And
Now, have
so
you?
I have a handful of attorneys that will listen, and I'm going to give those out here, and I'm going to this is a referral. I'm referring you, if you're watching or you know of anyone that needs an attorney. These are the ones that I have so far that I know will listen. And no, they're not going to take every single case. Look, I've had my rights violated. Just talked about it in deposition yesterday. Over 30 times, I've had my civil rights violated in one form or fashion. And I've taken 3 matters into court by way of lawsuits using these attorneys. They're not going to take every single case, every single civil right violation. So if you have been violated and you reach out to these attorneys, don't get disheartened if they don't take your case. Keep pushing, keep trying. So on that note, I have, and you can reach out to me. You guys can post my email. Anybody can reach out to me on my email and ask me, "Hey, man, I need an attorney. Do you recommend anyone?" And I'll refer you. I'll recommend these attorneys if you don't catch them here. And I'm going to list them in no particular order. You know, the first one that I mentioned is not the best one out of the group. Just the first that I'm going to mention. So the first one is C.J. Grisham. He's a Texas-based attorney, and he does both criminal and civil litigation. And so that's one, C.J. Grisham. The other one is Palmer and Roberts, Palmer and Roberts, James Roberts, Scott Palmer. They're in the Dallas, Texas area. I can say that those guys, look, each attorney has their own set of rules. I guess, for a lack of better words, rules, things that they don't like, things that they do like. Palmer and Roberts prefers that, when you're out there filming, that you don't initiate contact with the police. While they understand if the police initiate contact with you, you certainly have a right to respond, and you also have a right to initiate contact. But I'm just letting you know, if you're out there and you're initiating the contact with these police officers, kind of puts a not so good taste in this particular law firm's mouth. So they may not be as inclined to assist you if you're out there initiating contact. Certainly you can do that. You know, I initiate contact all the time. And so if you want to do that, do it. I am a proponent of that. It's your free speech right. And in Texas, the law actually protects you. Interfering can be done if it consists of speech only. That is our law. But if you want Palmer and Roberts and Palmer to consider representing you, just consider that. They don't like a whole lot of profanity either. There isn't one case that they would take from me because, I have profanity-laced free speech that I engage in. And I'm not afraid. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it at any time. And whether or not an attorney is going to take my case is the least of my concerns when I'm engaging in my civil rights. So that's Palmer and Scott and Palmer out of Dallas. We have also Solomon Radner. I just spoke with Solomon a few days ago. He's back on the circuit. He is an extremely qualified and just hell on wheels federal trial attorney, not a federal settlement attorney, but a federal trial attorney, meaning that he has experience and he is willing to go to trial. And the other side knows that. And that's extremely powerful and important. He can practice and has practiced all over the United States. If you've seen a high profile case in the media, chances are he's involved with it. Civil rights type cases. So Solomon Radner, Radner. He's back on the circuit. He was missing in action for a little while, but he's back on the circuit. I understand. And then my personal civil attorney that I have used in the Zinter v. Savaggio matter, in the Miller versus Rene Valenciano out of Olmos Park. In that matter, currently that lawsuit is ongoing. And the Zinter case, by the way, settled for $500,000 in last December. I was not arrested in that case, but I received just a small portion. But that case did settle, and this attorney represented most, if not all, the plaintiffs in that matter. And then the current case regarding the raid of my house, titled Miller versus Savaggio. Y'all remember Joe Savaggio, right? Sloppy Joe, salty vagina. Yeah. There's currently a lawsuit ongoing, Miller versus Savaggio, and this attorney is representing me in that matter. And that law firm is known as Grable and Grimshaw. That's Grable and Grimshaw, Grimshaw, The attorney there that I'm most familiar with is Brandon Grable. And all these attorneys, CJ Grisham, I don't know about Solomon Radner. I'm still looking that up. Of course, you guys can go and do your own research. I'm referring these attorneys to you. They have rules. They can't go out and just reach out to people. You have to reach out to them. And so I know CJ, Grable and Grimshaw, and Palmer and Roberts, they have contact forms on their websites where you can go in and you can fill out these contact forms. And that's where you're going to give a lot of personal information. You're going to give information about your case, and you're going to let them know you need legal representation in the matter. My advice to you, from someone who is experienced contacting these attorneys to ask for representation, my advice to you from a personal standpoint, based on my own experience, is shave off all the, for lack of better words, extra stuff. Shave off your opinions about what has happened to you and stick to the meat and potatoes. If your First Amendment right was violated, let them know that, and let them know how you feel your right was violated according to what you think the law allows. And then after you get their attention, then they're going to ask you questions about certain things. And that's when you get to tell them all the extra stuff. But when you're making that initial contact, I found it best to just keep it to the meat and potatoes. Keep it simple. Okay? Keep it simple. Because they feel a lot of information from a lot of different people. You want to be able to stand out from the rest, and keeping it simple is the best way to keep their attention, I believe, in my opinion. And you want to get their attention initially. That's the goal. And reach out to them and let them know, and let them decide if they're going to represent you or not. I think that's it. As far as how they work and how they charge and what it costs and things like that, that's something you'll need to discuss with the individual attorney. And I think that's it. You can send me an email if you need links to these web forms. I'll respond with the list of attorneys, and then that list continues to grow, but because I continue to reach out to attorneys all over all over the United States, and while these attorneys, with the exception of Solomon Radner, focus in Texas, Solomon Radner is one that focuses all over the United States. I believe he still does. You'll have to ask him about that. But as time goes on, this list is going to expand. And when you reach out to me and you say you need an attorney, I'm going to give you a list of these attorneys that I know of that might give you their ear, and as well as ways to contact them. But you have to contact them on your own. Last but not least, when you reach out to these attorneys, I found it best to be the squeaky wheel. For those of you that don't know what that means, there's this saying that the squeaky wheel gets the most grease. A shopping cart, it's got a couple of squeaky wheels, but there's this, and the person that's maintaining the cart or pushing the cart, they want to grease up these wheels. They got a little bit of oil. Guess who gets the most grease first? The most squeakiest, loudest wheel. So when you're reaching out to these attorneys, don't just call them and fill out their web form once. Be the squeaky wheel. Call them, follow up with them, and bother them. And they're going to hate me for this, but I don't care. Bother them every waking moment until you get a decision from them whether or not they're going to take your case. That is extremely important from my experience on convincing these attorneys that you're the most important thing that they have to do today. So with that being said, thank you guys for your support. Thank you for listening and watching. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt, and thank you, Jack, for being here with me on the live stream. I just wanted to add a little bit on what Jack was saying regarding lawsuits. I got a comment on one of my posts saying that I'm only doing what I do for a quick buck. There's no such thing as a quick buck. How many years did it take for you to get just a little bit for your case and the Sinner case?
Down there 5 years and
Yeah,
countless dollars. I lost more than I gained.
yeah,
Financially, I lost more than I gained. But a win is a win.
yeah.
And even though that, of course, they're always, we're going to settle the matter and we're not admitting guilt. Sorry, guys. Proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
And we didn't sign an NDA. The videos are out there. The proof's in the pudding. And you can claim, I didn't admit guilt all day long. The people know, they see through the bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, so for everyone saying out there that we're in it for a quick buck, there is no such thing. You can ask everyone that's been involved in a lawsuit. There is no such thing as a quick buck.
There's no such thing as a quick buck. And how many times would you estimate, Ismail, that you've had your rights violated since you've been filming police? Give it a rough estimate. I know it's hard. Give a rough estimate. I myself 30 plus times. What about you?
Maybe like over 15, I want to say.
I filed 3 lawsuits. How many have you filed?
I have filed 2 so far.
If I was in, and I'm going to tell you, I've only approached attorneys 3 times out of 30 and said, hey, we need to take this into court because I can't get them to change any other way. So let's access our courts. It's our right. Yeah. So look, if I was in it for the money and the lawsuits, and we talked about this in a deposition just the other day, they're claiming, oh, it's about the lawsuits. That's why you're filing all these lawsuits. And I'm like, are you talking about the 3 I filed? Well, I guess that is true. That is all of them, but it's 3 out of 30 plus situations and where my rights are violated. If I was in it for lawsuit money, I'd be filing suits on every single one of them, because even though an attorney may not, and I mentioned this, attorneys may not file a suit because there's no money in it, right? They work for money. They're in it for the money. The attorneys, they're in it for the money. Right. I'm not in it for the money. Or else I would, in situations where the attorneys don't want to take the case, there's not a whole lot of money in it for them, I'd be filing it pro se on my own. I could do that. I could pay an attorney to help me write my briefs, and I think they would be pretty good. And then there are attorneys who will help assist in writing these briefs. And if we were in it for the money, we'd be filing suits every single time the cop sneezed crooked. But that's not what we're doing. I think we spent enough time talking about this false narrative of the trolls and the cops and the bad cops who want to, say we're doing something we shouldn't be doing or something that is wrong, right?
Right.
Screw that.
And I have been fortunate to have someone that helps me. Not only me, helps me and others with the legal side of like filing lawsuits, filing complaints. And this person has never charged me a buck. I mean, I've been so fortunate to having this person help me out. The two lawsuits I have filed have been pro se, and I've been giving them hell. I think I have. And so, is there a quick buck? No. Everything costs money. The filing costs money. Setting up depositions costs money. Setting up mediations costs money. Everything costs money. So before you can get uh, something out of filing, you're you're in it from anywhere from 10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000. So there,
Depositions are an extremely important part of civil litigation, and down here in Texas, depositions run at a minimum of $1,000
yeah,
to conduct a deposition, and just in the let's see, just in the raid case, there have been 9 depositions. So we're talking $10,000 right there just in depositions. Discovery is not free, believe it or not. You got to pay for discovery. Nothing is free.
no,
They try to financially exhaust you into going away. These things are extremely expensive. There's no quick buck here to be made. There's quick bucks to be spent.
yeah,
Me personally, I've spent way more money than I've gained. And back
right,
on that whole NDA thing, the proof is in the pudding. There's a saying that you could bang 100 women as a man, as a heterosexual man. You could bang 100 women. You suck one dick and you are a cocksucker for the rest of your life. That's all anybody will ever know you of. And the reason I'm saying this is because government, all you tyrants out there who force NDAs and admit no wrongdoing, doesn't matter. And you're like, oh, but look at all the lives we saved. Look at all the cats we pulled out of trees. You violated one person's civil rights, and you will always be known, no matter how many people you save. You violated one person's civil rights, you will always be known for the rest of your life as the criminal, the other C word.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah. That is true.
So I can say I probably have one of the fastest, easiest settlement cases ever using Solomon. He got it done. What they cried for mommy after 6 weeks from filing the lawsuit, but it still took a year to file a lawsuit. I'm badass. That's how long his wait time was back then to get you in on a case. So it's still not ever going to be fast. If you got a lawyer,
And why isn't it
win,
fast?
it's probably going to take a year.
And why isn't
Because
it
the
fast?
other side, unless. So why isn't it fast? Because
I'll give
the
you an
other side can
example.
play obstruction games for a long time.
Oh yeah, obstruction game. If anybody's interfering or obstructing justice here, it's the other side. Look, I have proof of the other side literally arguing that something didn't happen. No, it didn't happen. The plaintiffs are lying. This didn't happen. There is a video of it happening. But they know they have the right to assert that it didn't happen. And they're not going to face any type of recourse for lying when they're telling the court that it didn't happen.
but they get to argue, and then okay, we got to
Jack's
set
gonna
a hearing on this. We got to set a hearing on this argument, and here, by the way, the hearing will be in 6 months, so we can argue about whether something did or didn't happen that's on video, just because the other side wants to say it didn't happen. These are things they actually do.
Jack's
That's why it takes so long.
Jack's gonna have some really good proof of cops lying in deposition after some stuff gets taken care of. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Cops, they don't stop lying just because they're under oath. They
Yeah.
go into depositions and they lie up one side and down the other. And then they do this little game called protective order.
Yeah.
Right away, the other side, they put protective orders on all the depositions
Yeah.
because they say it's because there might be sensitive law enforcement issues discussed that may alert possible criminals to their tactics. In reality, I've sat through these depositions. The only thing that's in danger of being exposed to criminals and non-criminals and good citizens and bad citizens, the public, because that's what the public consists of. The only thing that's in danger of being exposed to the public is the illegal acts of police officers, illegal acts taken against law-abiding citizens. Because in these lawsuits, that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what was brought out in deposition that can't be shared with the public because they got a protective order put on it.
Yeah.
So why, what's the reason for the protective order? In my opinion, is to keep the public from knowing about their criminal acts committed against citizens and also them lying under oath. And nobody ever gets to see them do it yet. And for the protective orders in the civil cases that I've been involved in that are over these depositions, this testimony, they are fighting tooth and nail to keep them secret. It's a legal process that we're going to have to go through and try to get these things public so the public can see what actually goes on, the truth, the facts, the truth. I mean, think about it. If we were suing them because they saved a child, and we were suing them because we say they only did 20 compressions to one breath when they should have did 50 compressions to one. But in actuality, they did 49 compressions to one. They wouldn't have protective orders over that because everybody would be very sympathetic to that. They gave their best effort. They missed it by one. They didn't do 50. They only did 49. It's okay. But they saved a life. But we're suing because they did 49 compressions instead of 50. You best believe there wouldn't be any protective order on that. In fact, it would have been released to all the media agencies and everybody and their mothers who asked for it, right?
Yeah.
We know why they hide and what they try to hide and what they'll give to the public, right? So come on, proof is in the pudding. Said that before.
They're sovereign citizens. Remember, I have filed 2 lawsuits, and for every lawsuit, anyone for every civil rights lawsuit everyone's filed, the first response for the defense is they're going to claim immunity,
Sovereign
immunity.
They point the fingers at us and call us sovereign. Like it's a bad thing. And say I'm shaking my head up and down. Yeah, because I've seen the same exact thing in every civil filing. The first thing they do to try to get out of the lawsuit is claim, I quote, sovereign immunity. Look it up.
Yep.
That is their defense to their illegal acts. They're not well, they do contest that. I mean, if you say you were arrested without probable cause and the video shows your arrest and the affidavit shows that there was no probable cause and the case was dismissed for a lack of probable cause, they deny that it was. They say they had probable cause. But aside from that, while not saying that they had probable cause, they just flat out say, hey, we have sovereign immunity. This should be dismissed because we are sovereign.
Yeah.
From what? From what?
Yep.
The law? Exactly.
Yeah.
We're sovereign from the law. We're exempt from the law. That's what they claim. Every single You're right. Every single lawsuit, that's one of the first defenses that
That is
they
a
claim.
that is a very first reply they submit. So if you want to look into mine, just search Rincon versus Elizondo. That's the first one, and the other one is Rincon versus Ibarra, and you can see there the very first reply is going to be they're claiming sovereign immunity. So
Yeah,
just one.
and in the Zinter case, Zinter versus Savaggio, and Miller versus Valenciano, and Miller versus Savaggio, even though the cases are ongoing, you can go into the federal court system. It's called PACER, PACER. This is some important information. You can go into the PACER system, PACER, and you can look at the actual court filings, the complete court filings, unredacted, and read this for yourself. These are actual official documents in the courts that have been filed. Every time something's filed with the court in the federal system, unless it's under a protective order, and really only the depositions are and testimony are under protective order, if they are. But all these court filings are public. They become public information instantly. In the federal court system, I got to give them credit for this. And this came out in the Zinter suit because I released some audio from a court hearing. And remember, they were trying to accuse me of releasing it illegally against court orders, trying to accuse me of recording inside the courtroom. But these dummies who I found have IQ levels of purple did not realize that in the federal court system, when you have a hearing, they have all kinds of microphones and shit in there. And almost next day, there is a audio record available to the public, unredacted, of the hearing. And I had obtained that audio through legal means. I paid for it and released it. And anyway, kudos to them for that. That's a certain level of transparency that we don't enjoy in places like Polk County, Olmos Park, Leon Valley, Fort Worth, Galveston, so on and so on and so on. The list goes on. Imagine if they made their records immediately available to the public, what we would find out.
Yeah.
And what I found out is, pretty much for the most part, the reason the federal government, at least the federal courts, make this stuff immediately available to the public because they're not in there. They're not in there for the most part. For the most part, I have to put that disclaimer out there because I know there's going to be some yahoos saying, wait a minute, they're criminals. For the most part, they're not in there doing the type of criminal activity that our local Texas good old boys are doing. So they really don't have as much to hide as our Texas good old boys.
Yeah.
No, wait. What about this one? What about this one? Well, we get immunity because there was no specific court ruling that said we couldn't shoot a motherfucker in his back.
Yeah.
There was no federal court in our area actually told us that we couldn't beat the living shit out of somebody because they looked at us crooked or they cussed at us. I mean, we know we can't beat nobody for no reason. And we know people can cuss at us, but there's never been a federal court to tell us that if a person cusses at us, we can't beat the living shit out of them without cause.
So one of the responses from the court regarding my first lawsuit I filed, the officer Elizondo, he took my phone away twice when I was recording. And the second time, the court claims that he did not violate my First Amendment because he didn't use violence. He took my phone away, but he didn't use violence. The first time he did use violence, but not the second time. So therefore, he didn't violate my First Amendment right.
Oh, man, come on. You're bringing up memories now. This is something that people don't know. So in the Zinter v. Savaggio case, they referred all the claims to some magistrate just out of the blue. They referred it to a magistrate in Washington, D.C. And this magistrate issued a whole bunch of rulings. So for some of the plaintiffs, and I think there were 12, 13, 14 plaintiffs with, 10 plus claims each. So for some of the plaintiffs, he ruled that their claims could move forward. And this was some type of motion for summary judgment. So they're asking a judge to go ahead and rule on whether or not plaintiffs can move forward or not. So he ruled that some of the plaintiffs could in fact move forward. But then he took another handful of plaintiffs and dismissed their claims. First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, A, B, C, D, elemental P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, their claims, those amendments. He ruled that they could not move forward, that they were dismissed. And notably, one plaintiff, now both plaintiffs that the judge ruled on here were asserting a Fourth Amendment violation, an unlawful seizure of property, in that the police unlawfully seized their cell phone because the police claimed that they filmed the police arresting someone, and without a warrant, they told the people, "Give me your phone." Now, the judge ruled in both plaintiffs' claims that the police did violate their Fourth Amendment right when they seized their cell phones without a consent and without a warrant. The judge ruled that they did violate their Fourth Amendment right, but dismissed their Fourth Amendment claim for the first plaintiff because that plaintiff refused the officer's demand, unlawful, unconstitutional demand to hand over the property, the cell phone. Dismissed it because he resisted that officer's illegal request. Then, in the same breath, dismissed the second plaintiff's Fourth Amendment claim because he handed over his property to the same officer. So one was dismissed because it was found that that same officer violated both of their rights, but this one was dismissed because he handed the officer the phone. This one was dismissed because he refused to hand over the phone.
So one because he resisted, and the other one because he consented.
Yes, you heard that right. And this was an actual ruling in the Zinter v. Savaggio case. All you got to do is go look at the document filed for a summary judgment that was forwarded to a magistrate in Washington, D.C. to rule. That was one of the last rulings before the settlement.
Crazy.
Yeah. So this is it's crazy stuff, right?
Crazy
And
stuff.
we're sovereign. And what can you do to the judge for making such a erroneous, ridiculous, outlandish, senile
Nothing.
ruling?
He had judicial immunity.
Judicial, that's a fancy word for sovereign immunity. He has judicial immunity. You can't even sue him.
Yep.
You can complain to the judicial branch and file a complaint regarding his ruling, but that's like coming to my wife and filing a complaint with my wife because I cussed at you. How you think that's going to turn out? I'll tell you, she's going to spank me. She's going to spank me over the course of several nights in our bedroom because I cussed at you.
Yeah.
And I'll probably never cuss at you again.
Crazy. Ridiculous.
Getting spanked in the bedroom for cussing at you, that's a hell of an incentive to never cuss at you again.
Yeah.
And that's the equivalent of filing a judicial complaint.
Yeah. Same thing as filing a complaint on an officer.
Same thing.
No.
Same thing. Yeah. For the most part, same thing. Absolutely.
So I have only filed 2 complaints since I started doing this, and of course they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I filed one complaint. SAPD on camera, searching me while I was detained. Searching, not patting down, searching. I mean, they took my socks on camera, on dash cam, turned them inside out, emptied out my cigarette pack, looking for drugs. Yeah.
That's a full search. Yeah.
My complaint was that they wrote for dishonesty. That was the sole purpose of my complaint. They committed the rule violation of dishonesty in that they wrote in their report that they did not search me, but I had body cam of them searching me in the manner I just described. And their finding was unfounded. And they wouldn't tell me whether or not they found that I was searched or wasn't searched. They just said my complaint that they were dishonest when they wrote that I was not searched was unfounded. I requested the documents submitted to the review board for them to consider in their decision. Guess what? Withheld. They wouldn't release them. Affirmed by Mommy, the Texas Attorney General. They never had to release those documents. Why? Well, because it would have showed that they probably were submitted a menu from Burger King to consider whether or not I was searched or not. Review this menu from Burger King and tell us if, in fact, Mr. Miller's claim that he was searched or not is valid. So they looked at the Burger King menu and they said, well, we don't see anything on the menu that shows he was searched, so his claim is unfounded. It's probably what they did.
Yeah. So a recommendation I would like to let the people know or recommend the people is request policies and procedures for a department. If you're going to be auditing or recording that specific department, get their policies and procedures. When you are filing a complaint, make sure you go into the policies and procedures and get the violation number, what page is it, everything. So that way, when you take your complaint, you already have the actual violation, because they're not gonna find it on their own. So just take everything, so so they'll know what policy they violated, and that way they don't have an excuse.
Yeah, let me expound on that. As a former law enforcement officer, I've seen effective complaints. I've seen most complaints that are filed by citizens are a joke. They're just a joke. I don't know if it's because either the citizen wasn't violated or, well, I can tell you, their complaints they're not written well. They're talking about a bunch of stuff that really isn't violations. They're including their personal opinions, their emotions, and their feelings and they're not addressing the meat and potatoes of what the officer did. So to expound on what Ismail just said, he's absolutely correct. Now, me personally, I think the complaint process is a joke, but I've assisted numerous people in filing great, effective complaints. Citizens who reached out to me, they want to do something, and I don't put my personal opinion into their matter. If they want to file a complaint, that certainly is an avenue that they can take, and I will assist them in filing an effective complaint. And as a former law enforcement officer, my goal is to use my experience as a former law enforcement officer to write an effective complaint, to file an effective complaint. And to expound on what Ismail said, it's extremely important if you choose to file a complaint against anybody, a government official. Maybe you're wanting to do it at work against your own co-worker, whatever it is, you're filing a complaint. Stick to the meat and potatoes. The meat and potatoes are the specific rule that the person violated. So if you have an officer who's being rude to you, you need to pull those policies and procedures, find out, is there, or look at this, there's a rule here that the officers have to be courteous and professional to citizens. And calling me a jackass, I believe, is a violation of that rule. Then you list that rule. Then you list what the officer did to violate that rule. You don't say, oh, he made me feel bad, or I didn't like the way he talked to me. It's very simple. The meat and potatoes are, he had to be professional and courteous to the public. He called you a jackass, and that is not professional and courteous. Or San Antonio Police Department. They are required, when asked by a citizen, member of the public, for their identifying information, they are, by rule, required to provide name and badge number in a professional and courteous manner. So when I ask an officer, what is your name and badge number? And they say, it's right here. And I say, well, I can't read it. My vision ain't so great. And they say, it's Officer Pendejo, badge number 1, which incidentally is my IQ. Well, then they provided their name and badge number. But when they pointed it at it right here. Well, that was not providing it in a professional and courteous manner. I guess they redeemed themselves by saying Officer Pendejo, badge number 1. But turns out that's not actually their name. They were wearing their partner's name tag because they're intimately involved, boyfriends, and they like to wear each other's name tags and exchange bodily fluids and name tags and everything. Knowing that the name tag was not his own, he did not provide me his identifying info, and that's a rule violation. So focus on the fact that this is the rule violation. This is what they did, and keep it simple. And write it out. Don't go in there and let them question you as to what happened. You don't have to do that. The best thing to do is to write this out in the comfort of your own home, drinking your favorite beverage, wearing your favorite jammies. Take your time, write that complaint out, hand deliver that complaint to them, and write it in such a manner that it leaves them no reason to even question what was going on. Oh, what was going on? It says it right there. I asked for the name and badge number, and they did not provide it. And then here's evidence. Evidence is important. That's why it's always important to record your interaction with them, because that is the evidence you're going to need to make that complaint, along with that specific rule violation and that specific allegation regarding that rule violation. That is going to be the evidence that is going to back all that up. And there you have an effective complaint.
Right.
We can do a whole class on that.
We could. Yeah, we could. Well, thanks for expanding on that. I think we stayed over 30 minutes after I said we were gonna end it. So
just some extra stuff that you guys gain by watching this live stream, free of charge.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Jack, for everything.
Welcome.
Thank you for co-hosting this live stream, and thanks everyone for watching, for donations, for support. Thanks, Patrick, for everything.
That's Patrick. That is Patrick. Shout out to Patrick. Oh, Patrick with a D, PADRIC. Excuse me. Not to be confused with Patrick Raw, who, by the way, still ain't paying his child support. Bro, I just got a toll road violation over here at my house. A toll road violation. Apparently, he's driving a brand new Dodge Charger and not paying his tolls. So not only does he need help paying his tolls, but he still needs help paying his child support. Just want to throw that in there. Help the dude out. Help the dude out. Help the dude out. He needs help. Financial help. Pay his support his children. He's a reminder how important it is to support his children. The civil suit is still an ongoing matter, contrary to what he says. Oh, it's still very much an ongoing matter. There's still some things that he has not addressed, but let's help this guy first address paying his child support and paying his toll road violation. Which don't take my word for it. I don't know if you guys can see this, but let's see. Can y'all see this here?
What's his name up here? With your head?
March 31st, 2022. So it's just $34. Just $34, but there's a picture of his car. Let's see. There's a picture of his car. I don't know if y'all can see that. Help me. Does that look like a Dodge Charger? Like a brand new one? Some of you car experts out there, some of you car gurus. And this ain't mine. I don't have a Charger. I wouldn't buy a Charger because I like chicks. But I like chicks. But anyway, I think y'all can see right there, Patrick there. Yeah. So, and by the way, I don't know if he likes my house or he likes me or what his infatuation is, but that's his name and that's my address. That's my address. So now he does not live with me. That is Patrick with a D, with a big D, and then that's Patrick with a T and a little D, is the dickhead. So anyway, yeah, all right, enough about that. Sorry, man. Let's take over your stream with that stuff.
No problem, man.
I don't like that dude at all. At all.
I know.
I should pray for it, but I don't, because I just don't like that dude, and I like not liking that dude. So anyway.
All right, man. Well, thanks again, and thanks everyone for
He said
for
he's
staying
gonna
here.
come to my house and take care of this stuff, but I got a water hose full of water for that little douchebag waiting for him. That'd be a great video. All right, yeah. Thank you guys for watching.
All right, later, man.
Enjoyed being here. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.